Hello, this is Sue from Irreversibly Moi, and I am delighted to have with us today Melanie Douthit, artist from Louisiana. I welcome you, Melanie, and I welcome you to Irreversibly Moi. Why don't you take a moment to tell those of us who may not be familiar with your work a little bit about you?
Hi, I am I live in Northeast Louisiana, and I've been painting since I was a teenager. I did oil paints, watercolor, and then after my daughter was born, I got involved in scrapbooking, and that was about my involvement in that was about 8 years ago. And I was painting full time, but then I started scrapbooking, and that turned into full time. And then I went back to art, and I started merging the two together. So um, here I am.
Here you are. Now, when you say merging the two together, could you give me an example?
um, well, I had all this scrapbooking product, and I started trying to figure out how I can incorporate that into art. And then there were other people out there that were doing that. That was when I found out what mixed media was. And so I started using my scrapbook papers and learning to paint on it. And I just fell in love with the texture and the feel and how all that worked together.
Right. I scrapbooked for many years, and I used to joke that my pages, I like them lumpy and bumpy like my rear end, because the more texture, the better. What didn't make it easy to close my scrapbook, but it sure did look pretty on the page.
Right.
How would you describe your art or your style?
Um, I would describe it as a little bit of whimsical. Um, I I like to use a lot of imagery in my art, a lot of line work, detail. It's not more of an abstract. It's more um, fine lines. Kind of. I like to do. I like florals. I like birds. I like wildlife.
Being in Louisiana, I'll bet there's a lot of inspiration you draw right from your area.
Yeah, there is.
What inspires you to create?
Um, I A lot of it is music. Uh, Sometimes I'll be listening to music, and I'll get like a feeling or an image or maybe a lyric. Um, Sometimes it's maybe a color combination that I see, and I'll start thinking about how to use that. It's just kind of a combination. It just kind of comes and goes. But when I do get like just just something dropped in, in my heart or in my mind, I usually try to sketch it off and run with it, because it's when it comes from within, there just seems to be more more emotion attached to it. That makes sense.
You mentioned being inspired by certain color combinations. Are there certain colors that you tend toward?
Yes, I like blues. I tend to use a lot of blues, probably maybe because I just love the ocean so much. I like um, I like the greens, the turquoises, and of course you got to contrast that with something bold and bright like orange, yellow, red. I usually use the brighter colors more so than the earth tones, but I'm not limited to that.
Are there any colors that you don't usually work with that you tend to stay away from?
Um, Not on purpose. I don't use a lot of browns unless I'm doing wildlife, and sometimes even in that I will make my browns from something else. Unless I'm doing animals, of course I will use it straight from the tube.
Awesome. What advice would you give to someone who's just starting out playing with art? Maybe they're an art just started an art journal, or but they really haven't done much art yet. What advice would you give them?
I would tell them to draw as much as they can, um, even if no one else looks at it. It's I believe there's it's like a muscle reflex or muscle memory. Just by drawing every day, you're training your eye, your hand coordination. Um, I would have them write down ideas, color combinations that they like, and just don't be critical. Just do it for enjoyment and um, just have fun. Just have fun with it.
That's what I tell people with art journaling. They're worried about comparing their work to others. And I think an art journal especially is quite personal. It doesn't need to be for anyone else's eyes. So that's a great place to practice and try new things. And if it turns out looking like heck, well, it doesn't really matter, but you've gained so much in the process.
I agree.
Speaking of art journals, do you keep an art journal or a sketchbook?
I keep a sketchbook. It's I call it my thumbnail book because most of my artwork comes from a thumbnail version. If I can sketch it and work out all the design composition wise, the aspect that way, and I'm happy with it, then I know that it's going to work when I put it on canvas.
You mentioned that you lean toward mixed media art. So what would you say are your top 5 tools that you would use?
Okay. Um, I I use paper and glue. I guess that's not really a tool. Maybe that's more of
Sure
a
they are.
okay. Um, and I use a brayer to get the paper down good, and um, I like I'm losing the name. It's the texture. It's a crackle medium. I, I'm trying to get the word out. It's like a crackle medium, but it's help me out.
Like an embossing paste or a modeling paste or
Modeling plate. That's it. It's modeling paste. It's thick, and then it crackles. And someone introduced me to that last year, and I absolutely love it. You could just plop it down, and then it crackles all by itself, and it gives this really neat texture. I also use stencils. Because it's just easy to use the modeling paste with that to give just a fun background, just randomly putting it down. There's so much. I love burlap. It just creates
oh,
interesting texture. Um, and I've started to when I do my really thick mixed media with lots of various things in it. I love to come back and put it's a resin on the surface of it.
okay.
It kind of gives
Oh,
a shiny coat, and
right.
it just it holds everything in, and it's just kind of a magical quality to it.
Now your paintings, you do them on a canvas or a canvas board, or what is most of your work created on?
Most of my work, probably 80% of it, is done on canvas, and I've started using various surfaces such I like to use birch wood.
Mm.
And sometimes I'll use found things like cabinet doors.
Oh,
Yeah, it's kind of I have some piled up in a pile right now, waiting for me to do some things on it. So I'm just kind of open to
mhm.
anything.
Right. Awesome. All about experimenting and seeing what the result is, I'm sure. Do you teach art at all?
I do teach every now and then. I usually will do something in the summertime. I'll do children and adults, and the local girls here, the local ladies here, really were interested in doing a mixed media class. So I did that about a year and a half ago,
Okay.
and they really took off with it. Some people, they were brand new, had never done anything like it, and it was so much fun to just watch them grasp the techniques and then still continue to make things later.
That's exciting to
Yes.
see where they evolve with it, where they take it. Do you ever teach online?
I haven't taught online. It's on my list to do. I just
Mhm.
there are just so many things, and I've talked about this with my husband. I admire so many people that teach online, and I have learned so much from doing that. And it takes so much time to be able to juggle and learn just the business side of that,
Right.
like the video and the setup. And
Mhm.
I need to take a course just how to do that.
Right. Yeah,
And
there are a lot of moving pieces. A lot of moving
yeah,
pieces to an online.
yeah.
Oh. So do you have any products on the market right now? Maybe any stencil lines or do you, in addition to your artwork, have you lent your expertise to any other products?
I have not. I would not even know where to begin with that. I don't think I'm anybody or anybody well known to create anything like that. But again, I would be interested to learn how to do that.
Right. Well, I think there's probably a big market for you because your work is, I think, recognizable. And I love your lotus. I would love that as a stencil.
Thank you.
So,
That means a lot to me. Thank you.
what are your go-to techniques?
Um, hmm. I don't. I don't know. um, I don't. I'm stumped on that.
Well, maybe we'll expand a little bit on maybe anything else that you use stencils for or what you do with the burlap that you mentioned.
Okay, with the burlap, I usually like, for instance, when I'm working on like a wildlife scene that's a little rustic, I tend to use the burlap for the cypress trees, for the tree trunks,
Mhm.
because it has that bumpy feel.
Right. Awesome. Awesome. So I guess you'd cut strips and lay, so you wouldn't paint over the burlap.
Actually, I haven't. I don't for the trees, but I've actually taken some burlap, and I don't have one here with me to show you, but I've done some flowers, and I've just taken random small pieces and just glued them to the flowers and painted right over it as if it weren't even there, and put it
Ah.
in. And it was so funny. I had it showing in one of the galleries, and people would walk by and they would just go, wow, I really really
Ah.
like that. And so one of them sold, and then someone wanted another one. So it's just something unexpected, something
Mhm.
different. and
Right.
and I think when you see people respond to that,
Mhm.
like, wow, and fall in love with it, it just lets you know to not be afraid to try things.
Right. Absolutely. Do you still scrapbook?
No.
No. It's hard to find time to do it all, isn't it?
It is. It
And I
is.
think those of us with creative minds tend to have a lot of irons in the fire at one time. There's only so much of us to give. In addition to our creative endeavors, we have our family and our, um, in your case, gallery showings and other things. So it's hard to do it all. I get that. I keep saying I'm going to make some time to scrapbook again real soon, and that just never seems to happen.
I
Um,
understand.
what artists do you admire?
I admire so many different artists. Of course, I've learned a lot from Christy Tomlinson and Kelly Ray Roberts as far as how to use the mixed media products. And there's so many that I know I'm leaving off. But I also admire a lot of the local artists, the ones that I know here in the state of Louisiana from our galleries, and even a girl that was local here. Her name is Anya Lincoln Dunn, and she's in New Orleans, and she has some work in some galleries there. She's just does beautiful work. Besides Louisiana theme, she also has another whole body of work that I just love. And then some local artists that are in, a couple of the galleries here. Um, Washita River Art Gallery has a lot of great local artists.
Great. What's next for you?
Well, I have a lot of little irons in the fire. I would love to learn to video so I can teach online. Um, I am possibly going to be working on illustrating a book, which I
Wonderful.
don't have a lot of details on that yet. Just continue to grow and develop and expand, what I do.
Wonderful. I will share underneath this video interview your website and other places to find you online so that our visitors today can check out some more of your work and get to know you a little bit better. But before we finish up, we'll do our fast, fun tidbits. So first off the top of your head, just a couple questions. Your favorite snack food?
Um, Nachos.
Ah, I'm a nacho fan myself. Favorite musical artist or band?
Probably the Eagles. I know that's old school, but we just
Oh,
heard.
hey, that's okay. You can't be classic rock ever.
Yeah, I know.
Now, here's an either or, either your favorite non-art related book or a book you're currently reading.
Um, hmm. I can't even think of anything right now.
That's okay. Are you reading anything right now?
No.
Okay, that's okay. TV show you just can't miss.
That would be Once Upon a Time.
Okay, I've not seen that yet, but I keep being told I need to. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Okay, I was about to bet on tea since you're from the South. I thought you'd say sweet tea. Um, an odd thing we probably don't know about you.
Um, I was born in Europe,
Really? Where about?
in France.
Oh, very cool. Well, that's it. I thank you for spending your time with us today. And we'll be sure to include lots of links where people can find you and point out where they can enter to win one of your gorgeous prints. And I sure hope everyone will check you out on your website and Twitter and Facebook and see more of your time with us today. And I wish you a great day.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.